So listen to this, because this tea is boiling hot. The one thing Harry and Meghan swore they would protect with their lives, their kids, is now the very thing pulling their carefully crafted image apart. And guess who's stirring the pot? Tom Bower. And if you know Bower, you know this man doesn't just drop claims. Oh no, he sets off bombs. Now, the question shaking up every headline isn't about boring royal protocol or palace traditions anymore. Nope, it's this. Who exactly are Archie and Lilibet? Crazy, right? For any regular family, that question would be outrageous, even insulting. But for the Sussexes, where every move is branded, curated, and sold to the world, this question hits very differently. Bower isn't tossing around vague rumors. No, darling, he's coming in sharp, direct, with years of digging under his belt. His big claim that Archie and Lilibet might not even be Harry and Meghan's biological children, that surrogacy wasn't just some private choice, but a carefully hidden secret, and maybe, just maybe, it's not even the full story. Let that sink in. This isn't about parenting style, privacy, or paparazzi boundaries anymore. This is about legitimacy, bloodline, the royal lineage. And if there's even a shred of truth to what Bower is saying, then we're not just looking at a scandal, we're staring at a wrecking ball swinging straight at the foundations of the monarchy itself. Remember Harry? The cheeky, charming prince the world once adored? Yeah, he's now the punchline of memes and the subject of late-night mockery. Some see him as a fool, blindly dragged into Meghan's chaos. Others whisper that he's a willing co-conspirator in a cover-up so personal it slices through centuries of royal tradition. Either way, one thing's clear. He's panicking. Sources from Montecito are saying Harry's pacing around like a man on fire, snapping at staff, glued to headlines, obsessively tracking every whisper online. The same man who once preached about mental health is reportedly unraveling under the weight of his own family's narrative. And Meghan, she's ice cold. Forget tears or outbursts. Word is she's sitting behind her desk drafting legal threats, trying to smother this story with lawsuits and silence. But here's the kicker. The harder she tries to shut it down, the more people want to know what's being hidden. Critics are already dissecting everything. Those oddly staged pregnancy photos, the weirdly vague timelines, the total absence of normal hospital shots or medical confirmations. People are asking, why were there no candid hospital pictures? Why was everything so staged? Why does every detail feel like it was run through a PR filter? And let's not ignore the royal distance. William and Kate's kids? They've been photographed endlessly with Charles, Camilla, even the late Queen. But Archie and Lilibet? Almost invisible. Barely a shot with any senior royals. Coincidence? Or a deliberate royal cold shoulder? This is no ordinary gossip, honey. This is a full-on crisis with real consequences. If surrogacy was involved, fine, that's one level. But if outside donors were used, if Archie and Lilibet aren't biologically Meghan and Harry's, that's an earthquake. That throws their status in the line of succession into question. And the palace cannot afford gray areas when it comes to bloodlines. Now here's what makes it spicier. Tom Bower isn't some wannabe stirring drama for clicks. This is a man with a track record of exposing the ugliest royal truths that often turned out scarily accurate. And now he's lit the match on what might be the most explosive royal secret ever. One that doesn't just shake Harry and Meghan's image, but potentially their place in royal history. And through all this chaos, silence. Deafening silence from Harry and Meghan. No denial, no DNA tests, nothing. And in scandals like this, silence doesn't help. It screams. It pours gasoline on the fire. It makes people wonder, what are they hiding? Because honestly, if they had nothing to fear, wouldn't they have proven it by now? Across social media, on tabloids, even on primetime panels, the calls for a DNA test are louder than ever. What started as quiet curiosity is now a public demand. Hashtags are trending, debates are raging, and the question is everywhere. If Meghan and Harry have nothing to hide, why not take the test? From a PR perspective, this is a nightmare of epic proportions. The Sussex brand was built around the image of a modern, progressive family. 2 loving parents, 2 beautiful kids, a luxury Montecito mansion, and the fairy tale of freedom from palace control. But that glossy picture, it's cracking. And those cracks aren't cosmetic, they're deep, structural. This isn't just another round of royal drama. This is about the very legitimacy of their family. For Harry, this is personal in a way no scandal has ever been before. Remember, he always said fatherhood saved him. He left royal duties for his kids. He cut ties with his family for his kids. He sat down with Oprah, spilled everything, and said over and over, it's for the children. That was his redemption arc, his anchor, his proof that he wasn't just the spare, he was a dad with purpose. But now, the whispers are brutal. The critics are tearing him apart with the ugliest question possible. What if the children he sacrificed everything for aren't even biologically his? Can you imagine the sting of that? The humiliation? For a man who once walked behind Diana's coffin as the picture of royal strength, this is a nightmare beyond compare. And here's where it gets darker. The narrative around Harry is splitting into two extremes, neither flattering. On one side, people see him as a pitiful, naive puppet duped by Meghan's control. On the other, he looks like a willing accomplice in a cover-up, someone who actively played along in rewriting royal history. Either way, the image is shattering. One makes him look pathetic, the other makes him look deceitful. And in both cases, the worst part, he looks powerless. Word from Montecito paints a grim picture. Insiders whisper about a household in chaos. Harry reportedly spends hours scrolling through articles, dissecting YouTube videos, even zooming in on old pregnancy photos, trying to find proof against Bauer's claims. He's lashing out at staff, losing sleep, stuck in a loop of paranoia. And remember, this is the same man who built his entire post-royal identity on mental health awareness. Now, he's unraveling publicly. The irony is so sharp, it hurts. Meanwhile, Meghan is playing the opposite role. No breakdowns, no chaos, just cold, calculated silence. Her move? Lawyers, endless cease and desist letters, threats of legal action, and attempts to scrub the story from every corner of the internet. But here's the kicker. Every time a legal threat surfaces, it backfires. Because the louder you scream "shut up," the more people think, "Oh, so it must be true then." And let's not forget the palace. Their silence? Chilling. Charles, Camilla, William, none of them are speaking. No public photo ops with Archie or Lilibet. No birthday greetings posted. Compare that to the warm, constant visibility of William and Kate's children. It's night and day. And people are starting to whisper that maybe, just maybe, the palace already knows something. Some royal watchers have floated a theory that's both wild and strangely logical. What if the royal family's distance isn't punishment? It's protection. Imagine this. They suspected the truth long ago, and instead of confronting it, they quietly pulled away. No pictures, no official endorsements, nothing that could later tie the monarchy directly to a scandal of this magnitude. It's almost as if they put up invisible walls, bracing for the day the bomb would drop. And now, with Bauer lighting the fuse, the royal silence feels less like ignorance and more like preparation. If that's true, this isn't just gossip. This is a full-blown royal reckoning. Because if the monarchy itself doubts Archie and Lilibet's legitimacy, then this whole mess stops being a tabloid story and turns into a constitutional crisis. And let's be honest, the public isn't letting this one go. What started as online whispers is now a tidal wave. DNA testing, once a fringe idea thrown around by conspiracy theorists, is now being openly debated on primetime TV. Major outlets, respected journalists, even longtime royal supporters are asking the same question. Will Harry and Meghan agree to a DNA test? And that's the wild part. It sounds absurd, right? A prince and his wife being asked to prove their children's legitimacy through a test? But that's where we are, because when every other attempt at transparency, timelines, photos, medical records, has been blocked or shrouded in secrecy, what's left? Meghan and Harry had chance after chance to kill this story at the root. They could have been upfront, released documentation, addressed the rumors directly, but instead they chose silence and vague denials. And now, that silence is eating them alive. Because in the court of public opinion, silence equals guilt. And that silence, it's not protecting them anymore, it's destroying them. Imagine fast-forwarding 10 years. The story doesn't go away, it lingers. Every time Archie or Lilibet's names are mentioned in the context of royal succession, the question comes back, but are they really Harry and Meghan's children? That's the kind of stain that doesn't wash out. It becomes part of history. And that's the tragedy. This didn't have to happen. If Meghan and Harry had chosen openness from the start, if they had embraced transparency instead of secrecy, they might have avoided all this. Instead, they doubled down on control. And control, as it turns out, can only take you so far before the truth, or at least the suspicion of truth, claws its way out. Now all eyes are on one defining decision: DNA. Will they take the test and end the speculation? Or will they continue to stay silent, letting the whispers grow into roars? It's the ultimate gamble. If the test proves the kids are theirs, they reclaim the narrative and silence critics forever. But if it doesn't, the fallout would be catastrophic. Titles could vanish, legacies could crumble, and Harry, the boy who grew up in Diana's shadow, would be remembered not as the brave rebel prince, but as the man who let the greatest royal scandal of modern times unfold under his own roof. And Meghan, she'd forever carry the reputation of being the Duchess who spun a story so perfectly, only for it to unravel spectacularly in front of the entire world. The fairy tale is hanging by a thread, and Tom Bower's words were the scissors. So here we are, watching history in real time. The glossy image of Montecito royalty is cracking, and behind the cracks, the questions burn hotter than ever. Who are Archie and Lilibet really? And until Harry and Meghan face that question head-on, no amount of silence, no pile of legal threats, no carefully staged photos will stop the world from asking. Because once the question of bloodline enters the conversation, it never leaves. It becomes history, it becomes legacy, and it defines everything.